What's up, guys? Farooqi Bros here, back with another podcast. So today for you guys, we're going to be doing a bit of a roundup of films we saw in the month of May. And we want to start with Furiosa, which is, the highly anticipated follow-up to Mad Max Fury Road. George Miller's back, and we have Anya Taylor-Joy playing the role of Furiosa. And I'll start right away with my review. For me, this was an absolutely incredible movie. I really enjoyed it. I think that the interesting about George Miller's, action style is that, he's one of one. Like when you see his style, you know him, and it sets him apart from everyone else. And you might be like, oh, well, this is the year of the desert movies because we just had Denis Villeneuve doing Dune, and you have George Miller doing Furiosa. But the funny thing is that they look so different, despite the general place being the same. And I feel like that when I watched this movie, the first thing I thought about was the idea of like cinematic awe. Like this movie was like truly a celebration of cinema from the visualistic angle. Like dialogue is muted and it's all about this visual sensory experience. You're watching a movie and you're seeing just crazy action, crazy things, but it doesn't look messy. It's not like the end of Avengers Endgame, where it's like everything's happening at the same time. It's clean, but it's huge. Like everything is maximalist, in every single way. And I think it really worked for me. Like I was sitting at the edge of my seat enjoying the whole movie, and even though the movie has quite a bit of a long runtime, I never felt bored. I never felt it was getting slow. I thought it was just strong start to finish. Yeah, it's your standard revenge story, but I think there's layers to it that make it really work, and I think the performances were quite strong across the board. So for me, I was coming out of like this might be one of the best movies of 2024, and right now it's my second best movie of 2024. Who knows? By the end of the year, I think it might retain definitely in that top five. And if it's a weak year, then definitely top three. So I'm pretty high on the movie, and I think I was quite disappointed to see how badly it's performing at the box office, given universal praise from people who watched it and the critics themselves. But for whatever reason, the audience is not going to see it. But I strongly suggest our viewers to go see it because it's definitely worth it. I think Anya Taylor-Joy did a great job. I think she had only, what did they say, 46 lines in the movie, but I think each of those lines carried weight. This is a character who's had pretty much all their agency stripped, and they had to make something out of nothing. So the fact that she doesn't talk is actually a theme of the movie, and it works very well. All of her lines are saved for like the end of it, which makes sense. So I think overall, I give it 4.5 out of 5. I'm very happy with the film. I think I was like originally thinking of 5, but I settled on 4.5. And we can kind of get into the minutia because all of us have similar scores. But we can get into what the difference is in what makes a movie a 5 and a 4.5. But for me, or even a 4, depending on the scores go. But for me, that's where I'm sitting on it. Zian, what about you? What did you think about Furiosa?
Yeah, I agree with all your points. I think technically it's a very, very creative, very brilliantly made movie from George Miller. I think that he's basically like the king of this wasteland dystopia type movies with all his Mad Maxes. And I think Furiosa just falls in suit with everything that he's done with the other films as well. And I think there's this atmosphere and this vibe that you get from this movie that, like you said, it's clean to look at. It's not overbearing. It's not muddy, but it still retains like this wasteland, this barren aspect that it's a character on its own in these films. So I think that was very great. I think, like you said, Furiosa only had a few lines really relatively compared to the film, the rest of the characters or the film as a whole runtime. But I think because of that, like you said, each line that she says, there's more importance placed on it. And you know that, okay, if she speaks, then it is a significant moment and she is making some sort of significant commentary or plot movement. And I think that was also very exciting to see that, watching, okay, how the story is going, the struggle she's going through. And then when she does say something, okay, then it is of importance. I think overall the action, everything was top notch. George Miller, obviously, he knows how to do action sequences. And the car chase with this one was also very fun, very exciting to watch with the truck and all of that. You think that, okay, after a while you start getting bored, but I think he did a good job diversifying the action, kind of keeping it going as like the Raiders are kind of attacking the truck as it's delivering the supplies. And I think it was interesting throughout. All the actors, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth was great. There's very little to say that's wrong about this film. So it's kind of preferential if you're 5 stars or 4.5 stars. I think it is overall a very top level film on every aspect. And I think the score just comes down to your own preference and how you kind of vibe with the movie. I would land it around like a 4.5, I think, but I would knock anybody who gives it a 5. I think it is a very terrifically made movie.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned I mentioned Chris Hemsworth in my review, and I should have, because I think he did a great job kind of breaking out of the Marvel shell and doing something that's very unique. I mean, he spoke about that. For him, it's a very interesting point. And Samir after this, that Americans, we have like all these franchises. We got Star Wars, etc., and then the Brits, they got Harry Potter and all these different things. But Australians, for them, this is it. Like this is their franchise. So, and him being Australian himself, he's like, this is the thing where he has to put all of his effort into, because this is like their lore. This is like Australia's big franchise, and they want to put everything into it. But Samir, go ahead. What did you think about Furiosa?
I think I agree with most of your points. I went in with high expectations coming off just seeing Fury Road, and I think it's so unique compared to Fury Road because of the way the narrative is told. It's such a larger story. You see Furiosa's whole life from start to finish, or from start till up to Fury Road, and I think because it's less action packed than Fury Road was, I think it's better for it. Just the way it's told. I think I do wish that parts of it were more like Fury Road. I just think that some of the action scenes were a little muddy compared to the previous one. I think it's probably because of the use of CGI. Of course, George Miller is pretty old, so we can't do everything practical. But when it was practical, it looked amazing. And I'm not sure if it's just because the Mad Max aesthetic, the wasteland aesthetic, is not for me, like not my personal preference. For what it was pretty incredible. And of course, the acting, Anya Taylor-Joy did so much with just her expression, and of course, Chris Hemsworth, who you wouldn't think as being like the standout actor in one of the role. I think he stole the show in this one. Just really incredible. I also landed on close to a 4.5, maybe close to a 4, but I end up giving it a 4.5. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's interesting because all three of us kind of are singing the praises, but we're not going the extra mile. We're not saying 5, right? I think Samir, though, you're the only one between me and Zan. I'm not sure if Zan you said it, but that you give actual reason. You're like, well, a little more overland CGI. Maybe it's not as tight of a script as Fury Road. Then that's why it's not a 5. But Zan, I want to kind of put our feet to the fire. Why are we stuck on 4.5, and why aren't we just going down to a 4 or up to a 5? Like, what has us stuck here? And I want to give you first. Well, I kind of marinate my own answer.
It's hard thing. I think Samir does have a good point about the Fury Road comparison. But I think even as a standalone, I felt like it was an interesting movie, but it kind of didn't pull me in completely. Like when I think of 5 movies that I give 5 out of 5, I feel like there is the objective sense where it is just an amazing movie in every level. And I think this is near that. Like it's near perfect. There is like some of the CGI issues that Samir mentioned, but I think to reach 5 out of 5 status, there will always be a little tinge of subjectivity in that, where it has to kind of speak to you or reach out to you personally. You kind of feel that connection to it. And though this movie was great, I kind of didn't feel that when I was watching it, or even as the credits rolled. So I don't think it would be a 5 for me. I do sometimes go back and forth with a 4.5 and 4.5, but I think there is not too many faults with it. So that's why I'm kind of been sticking with 4.5. But I think that personal watching, I feel like, okay, this is like, I'm very, very invested into it. I kind of didn't have that throughout the movie. So that's kind of, for me, why it sticks to 4.5 and not a 5.
Yeah, I remember in offline, you were like, you also have a gripe with chapter uses. And I don't know if you didn't bring it up. I was like,
the chapter. Yeah, that. Good. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, the title card chapter breaks. I've never been a fan of that. I feel like it kind of takes you out of the movie. It kind of makes you very aware of the linear aspect of it. I know I get that. I know Shraz, you made the point off call about that's the easiest way. That's the best way to like kind of signify time gaps or jumps without it feeling disjointed. But I feel like even still, it kind of takes you out of the movie because then you're very aware that like the next chapter of a book or the next section is starting. And I feel like that just pulls me out of the flow of the movie. I hated it in Asteroid City. I think in Poor Things it was all right just because of how nice the title cards look like. But I think here it didn't really work for me.
Yeah, I think part of it, like when I'm thinking 4.5, I'm like, it's hard to replicate what's considered one of the best films of a generation. And Fury Road just it hit the streets like something that's never been seen before. And we know because just compared to the original three Mad Max movies, they didn't have that kind of, to use like the new words today is like aura, it had the aura of Fury Road. And that movie just has like a different kind of feel to it. And I think is lightning in a bottle, like everything just worked, and there's a emotional resonance to it. Where this movie, can you say for me, it doesn't suffer from the prequelism, like every time you make a prequel or a sequel, it's gonna not do that good, or it's not gonna, you can't recapture lightning in a bottle. I feel like this got as close as possible, which is why for me 4.5. That's kind of where I'm sitting on it. Well, let's see how it does. Hopefully more people watch it, but I think it's definitely a good movie. Let's go to the next movie, and that's a film we saw a bit ago, but I think it's finally making its way to Netflix this weekend, and that's Hitman. Glen Powell's dark comedy movie. Is dark comedy the good way to describe it? Just comedy? I don't know. But Hitman. I'll go first in this one. So we saw it at the film festival a while ago, and I'm surprised it took this long for them to release. But I guess this is the first angle it had. But for me, I came into it with below zero expectations. I'm just like, this is gonna be a movie. Let's just see what it is, and maybe if I laugh one or two times, I'll be happy. But very surprisingly, I was very happy with this movie. I was laughing it up. I was like having a good time with it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting. I thought the cast had very good chemistry. I thought the main two leads had great chemistry between each other. I think it was just, I was pretty invested in it. And I think Glen Powell, I know he's on his road to superstardom, and some people already put him in A-lister. I think he's about to become an A-lister. We'll see how that works. But I think it was overall pretty good. I think it was, it's a great screenwriting debut for him. I think he's rose his star power considerably, and definitely enjoyable. It's a little spotlight film. I don't think it's nothing to take to the bank or anything, but it's a good movie, good fun movie, a little rom-com, in some ways. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Zion, what did you think of Hitman?
Yeah, I agree, especially with that. It's just like a little moment of time film. It's like you just go in, you have fun, and then you kind of forget about it. I do agree that Glen Powell, he really is doing a great job, though. He's been in a lot of films recently, especially from Top Gun, which is really big blowout moment. But I think with this movie and then the other ones he's doing, I think he is kind of rising pretty fast. And I'm glad because he did do a good job in all the films I've seen him in. So I'm glad to see that he's continuing to get roles and gain more opportunities and do these kind of movies. I hope he doesn't get kind of locked and typecasted into only these rom-com type movies, because I feel like he does have range to kind of expand more into other roles, not just comedy roles. But as far as this movie went, yeah, I had zero expectations like Strauss, but it was a fun movie. There were some funny moments that I also did laugh. Usually I'm kind of stone-faced through these type of comedy movies, but it did do a good job. It was funny. It was interesting. And the ending was just, I expect the ending to go one way, but it went a complete other way. So I thought that was interesting as well. I think they kind of just hit it over the head with the way they did things, and it was interesting. It was an interesting movie. I think I also landed on 3.5. Maybe in my delirium I gave it 4, but that's probably wrong. So don't check my letterbox and quote me on that. But it was all right. It was just a fun movie. That's it. I know Samir, he absolutely loved it. Like, it was one of his favorite movies of last year. A film festival. I think he had top 3 film festival year movie. But I'll let him continue on about his thoughts.
It's true. The more I sat with it, I mean, I saw it twice first at Toronto and then at New York. I think the more I sit with it, the more I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good time, and Linklater is a great director, and obviously the cast does a great job. I understand the criticism for like to see it as maybe a 3.5 film, because it kind of fits into that type of direct to streaming rom-com type of film, which I get, but I think it is a step above the rest of those films. I know Strauss loves rom-coms. He's probably seen a lot, but I think it was great. I ended up giving it a 4. The more I sit with it, like Strauss said, the ending was great, and of course the cast was great.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see how it does in Netflix. I'm sure it's gonna hit pretty good. It's a very Netflixy movie, so I guess it worked just for them. Last movie, just in the spirit of filling out our May review roundup. We missed Fall Guy earlier in the month to review it, so we want to get to it now. Samir, we'll go reverse order. I'll start with you here. What do you think about Fall Guy?
This film, I thought Fall Guy was what it was, which is just another film from the guy that made Bullet Train. Like it was just meant to be a fun time, nothing much. Didn't really have that much to say. I think Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt do a great job, and what's that guy's name? Taylor Johnson. What's that guy's name?
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah.
All the cast is great, but that's pretty much all it was, and it just wasn't that compelling of a story for me. I think Ryan Gosling does good in these comedy type action roles, but I think he has a lot more potential than that. I think he should after Barbie he should just move to doing better films. I don't know why he would even take on this film. It just wasn't that good in my opinion. I ended up giving it a 3, close to a 2.5, but a 3.
What about you, Zion?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with every single point you made. I think that it was just like a dumb rom-com movie that's masked as an action movie, and it was fine. Like it wasn't anything special. It was like, all right, you watch, you just enjoy for what it is, and then you just forget about it forever. It was just one of those type of movies, and I also gave it 3. It is borderline 2.5. I think Ryan Gosling, he's kind of found a niche in these type of movies now. And I think he did mention in an interview that he's specifically choosing these lighthearted movies for his kids now because he's kind of detached himself from like Blade Runner 2049 or Place Beyond the Pines and movies like that, where he's obviously a much more serious character. And I think that those roles serve him very, very well. And it's unfortunate that he's kind of now going towards these type of roles, though he does have a good, valid reason for it. But I do hope to see him back in the more serious roles. Let's see how it goes. But I think he's kind of lessening his actor cachet by throwing himself to these kind of bad movies. And I get Barbie was kind of like a mega, mega hit. But then you have movies like this where it's like, okay, you don't want to just lower your resume by putting these bad movies on there so much. But it was just like a generic rom-com movie, and it was just okay. Like there's nothing to say about it because it was so just base level entertainment with nothing to say, nothing to like really show for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the Ryan Gosling thing. I mean, I always prefer Drive Ryan Gosling or Blade Runner Ryan Gosling. Like the one that he's like playing that like I'm very like emo and do my thing. But instead we're getting the Devil May Care Ryan Gosling, which is fine. Like that's what we kind of saw with Ken, and we're seeing it here. For me, Fall Guy, I mean, it's just your average popcorn film. Like that's what I get out of it. It's like you sit there, it's a movie that almost, I think Samir, you made this point offline, you made it right now, but it's a movie that released too early. It's like a movie that should have released in peak summer, but rather it came out earlier. It's funny enough, some people said this about Furiosa too. They said Furiosa should have released when Godzilla vs. Godzilla Kong released, and Godzilla Kong should take this one. But it's like that large scale entertainment film. Keep a bucket of popcorn on the side. Just watch it, cars flying around, karaoke, whatever you want, it's going to be there. You're not going to get don't come in with some kind of crazy deep script. And I think it kind of builds on Barbie aesthetic, even though it's not. It's like the idea of Ryan Gosling just being there and doing fun things. But in the end, the movie's made to entertain. It's not meant to do much more. Standard rom-com. Not for me. I'm also with you guys 3, but I kind of wish we can get more of classic Ryan Gosling. But I get how he's going to be kind of. While he's building his stardom, he's almost like the flip side of Glen Powell. We just talked about him, like they're like these two sides of the same coin going on very different journeys. But we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Fall Guy. What did you guys think about? What's your favorite movie of May? Let us know in the comments below, whether it's Furiosa or Hitman or Fall Guy. We definitely recommend Furiosa to you if you have the
First, before we.
What's up?
Let me just ask you. So, what did you think about what they did with the bad guy?
Well,
who was the bad guy in the movie?
Well, whoever it was did a good job for a long time.
I think you guys gave this a 3, even though you gave Fall Guy. I mean, you gave Hitman a 3.5, which I don't get because Hitman is like it's better than half a star, compared to this. It was so action. It was so action.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's. I know that Aaron Taylor Johnson played the villain, man, Tom Ryder. He was the main actor, you know.
True.
He was the main actor, you know. So that it was like setting up stuntman versus the main actor. You know, we got caught up in, you know, the things that get caught up in. You know?
I feel like it is kind of like a dark comedy though, because I'm surprised they just killed him at the end. That was kind of weird. They joked about it. That was the most weirdest thing ever. I was like, I don't know what's happening. He just died and didn't care.
Wait, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, that was like it was like the after credit scene or something where they showed what actually happened, and when like the woman and Tom Ryder running away, the woman got caught, but he kept running, and he stepped like on a minefield and he died.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then the angels calling Jason Momoa did not care.
Oh yeah, Jason Momoa showed up for the last movie, right? The Metal Storm.
I'm telling you, they're all villains.
Yeah, that's the point of the movie. Just if you're laughing this much about it, that means maybe it's 3.5 for you.
I'm laughing because I was asking who the woman.
But yeah, apparently they were satiring Dune in the movie. Is that true? Like that was the movie they're trying to make.
It looked a lot like Rebel Moon to me, but I don't know. I thought it was Dune.
I was supposed to. I think it's a satire of the Lynch Dune / Villeneuve Dune. Like it's both Dunes to make fun of. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about these movies. From myself, from Zion, and from Samir, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.